Hello, boys. How are you?
Hey, Sean.
Great, Sean.
Good to see you.
It's going pretty good, Sean. How are you?
Good.
Really good now that I have this croissant.
Yuck.
Wonderful.
So I saw Tom Morello's name in the credits, and I'm a huge Rage Against the Machine fan. I know he's a huge player, but I didn't see him.
You didn't
Is
see
he
him?
in there?
You didn't see
Is that
him.
a
You
mistake?
blinked.
What
It's
happened?
a bit of a blink and you miss
You
it.
blinked. Yeah, that was something that came together through our amazing producer, Jeremy Latcham, who worked with him on Iron Man back in the day. We knew that Tom was a huge fan of D&D, and we thought it'd be fun to put him in the movie.
He's in the stands, and there's a single of him at one point.
Also,
Is he really?
the boy from Belfast is in the stands as well, but you couldn't
Well, that's
miss
what I was
him
going to
as
ask.
well.
Like, did you get approached by a bunch of celebrities who love playing that just wanted like a part?
Not so much because I don't think they knew yet what it was going to be, and they're so worried about somebody doing the wrong version of their beloved game.
Defiling the what they have, and it is a fair concern, I think, among the D&D community. It's such a beloved franchise, such a beloved world, and we knew that we had to take it seriously, and it was our responsibility to do its service.
I will not be complicit in the illicit use of ill-gotten booty.
Your character has what I can only describe as jargon, like so much technical jargon. Was it harder to learn than just normal dialogue?
Ridiculously hard to learn. This was
Have you
Jonathan
retained any of it?
absolutely
Have you
set me.
retained any of it?
No, it went straight in one ear and out the other. There's no way I'm holding on to that in my soul. They can't burden me with those pages and pages of jargon text.
Follow me to the orifice.
The orifice?
They hit me. I remember that bridge scene that we've put out, where I'm just kind of hitting jargon for like a minute, and I remember sweating through that because they made me do it in a one-er.
The bridge is protected by an ancient trap. We must not trigger the mechanism.
And I remember paying it straight back, because I remember Justice was really enjoying watching me sweat. And so there's a death stare that I give him right at the end when he sets this trap off.
I may have triggered the mechanism.
And that was just kind of, that was me enjoying myself as payback for all the jargon. It's just like, well, I gave you the answers and you didn't listen. So now let's see if you can get through this take without laughing while I'm right here at you a meter away.
I had to do it in an accent, which was crazy. It was actually fine. It wasn't that hard. My jargon specifically was on my spell casting, and the beauty about the spell casting was that the words actually had a grammatical structure to them. Our dialect coach, Brandon Gunn, he invented this language, and it had consistency throughout, as well as the Thayan language that Sophia uses, like places and names of people. And yes, that was quite difficult to do. Specifically, hither thither staff is a tongue twister.
Hither thither. I didn't have to say it much, so I was.
Hither thither staff.
Hither thither.
Staff.
Hither thither. Oh,
There you go.
jeez.
Yeah,
Hither thither. Hither thither staff. Hither thither. Hither thither.
What is that again?
This movie is full of movie moments, which I love, where you're reading it and you know exactly, you've seen it a bunch of times, or you know what the camera's gonna do, and some actors chafe at that. I happen to really love it because it's a meta moment when I'm an actor doing it, reminding myself of all the actors I remember watching growing up doing the same moment, and much is due to my fascination and supplication before the man that is Harrison Ford. So I owe and attribute, Edgin is very much of an archetypal type of hero. He's Mr. Positive most of the time, and I always come back to the moment of where Harrison is faced with a guy that's doing all sorts of fancy knife work, and then he shoots him. It's akin to that,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
I'm out
dude,
of time.
I totally see the Indiana now. Oh, I'm not gonna get that out of my head. That's awesome.
It helps when it's Chris Pine doing it.
Or Jesse Plemons.
The guy is a master, and we would not have had the film that we are so proud of if Chris Pine weren't at the helm. Not at the helm, but
He was at the
Well,
the forefront.
He also plays the lute.
Not relevant.
Michelle, you can only greenlight one of these pitches. Do you write Letty into the next next D&D movie, or do you drop Holga into the next Fast and Furious film?
I'd say
Which
drop
one do you
Holga into the next Fast and Furious. It's a lot more interesting.
I don't mind that.
Oh, we got him now!
I think she would be lost without her crew, man. Like, I think we need to open a portal from the Dungeons world into some one of these franchises. I think there's nowhere to go once you reach the top in these 10 poles than to merge.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like.
Well, how do we pull that off? Figure it out over a drink?
Probably best.
I was really impressed with the visual effects. I can't believe how good that they look. I didn't expect going into this somewhat comedy to be as impressed as I was by the different set pieces. I want to know which one you spent the most time on in the editing room. Which one do you think you just toiled over to make sure that it looked as good as it possibly could?
I think that would be the Doric oneer where she's changing into different animals and being chased out of the castle.
Yeah, it was similar to the oneer that we had in Game Night where they're chasing the Fabergé egg. We knew we wanted this like fully immersive moment in the film, and nothing better than through the sort of perspective of this character that can turn into different animals depending on what environment they're facing.
And is it one of those situations where the visual effects really weren't coming together until the very, very end on this picture?
In some ways. I mean, some of them were good early on. Some of them, it took right up, even past the point where we were supposed to be done, and we were like, give us another week. We're real sticklers for that stuff, and so we would always want even more time. But ultimately,
that said,
it came together.
It was, visual effects community is such a hard-working group of people that are underappreciated. So we just have to tip our hats to the hundreds of people that spent hundreds of hours bringing this thing to life and making it, the epic that it is.
This is unlike anything we've ever seen.
So I was watching a lot of interviews that you guys have been doing in the run-up to the release of this movie, and you said something about the game where you said you're not doing it right unless you get it wrong, which I thought was really interesting, because I'm wondering if that applies to acting as well, too.
100%. 100% you're not doing it right unless you get it wrong. I remember my professors when I was training used to tell me off for this. They'd be like, your first instincts are strong, but you're never gonna get to the magic stuff unless you break from that and play around in the risky things where things can go really wrong.
Right.
So that's one of the strongest lessons I ever learned as an actor. Because if you hang on too tight to just what's correct, you miss out on all the really fun, magic, unexpected stuff. It's very much, I think, half the joke with Xenk, half the joke of playing like the shiny armored perfect knight in this movie, is that he holds on for dear life to just what is right, what is in a straight line towards righteousness. And he misses out on all the glorious chaos and pathos and heart that's happening around him. And I think that's part of the lesson. It's about the fact that plan A is never the whole world. You gotta go through plan A, B, C, and D to discover who you are and who your friends are and how to really be a hero,
Sounds lovely.
Quite the opposite.
I know, I was being ironic.
I find irony is a blade that cuts he who wields it most especially.
You're not a lot of fun, are you?